The stars looked peaceful above the mining planet Caverus 3, but deep beneath its dusty surface, peace was only an illusion. Humans lived here, not free ones. Not explorers, slaves. Every day before the twin suns rose, a loud metallic bell echoed. Across the slave quarters, the doors of steel slid open and the humans marched out, heads down, shoulders bent. No one dared speak. Cameras watched every step. Drones floated above, ready to shock anyone who slowed down. Rian was among them. He looked young, just 25, but his eyes held something older, something dangerous. He had never seen Earth. He was born in the mines like most of the others. His mother died breaking rocks. His father vanished after saying one sentence too loud. Still, every morning, Rian touched the small metal ring around his neck and whispered the same words in a language he was never taught. One day, they will answer. That day was not today. Today, like every day, the humans drilled and scraped for the mineral Threxium fuel for the alien empire's ships. The alien guards, tall and scaled, known as the Drexari, watched them with yellow, unblinking eyes. They laughed when humans cried. They cheered when humans bled. Rian had learned one thing: survive in silence. But silence can hide many things. That night, in the sleeping quarters, while fake stars flickered on the ceiling, Rian sat beside Anne. Old man with a scarred face and one missing eye. Everyone called him Elder Juno. Juno whispered, "The signals are growing stronger." Rian leaned closer. "Are you sure?" Juno smiled, showing broken teeth. "The network is alive. It's waiting for a command. It's waiting for us." Rian's heart raced. "How long?" "Soon," Juno said. "We only need one more part, and it's in the commander's tower." Rian looked up at the dark ceiling. That tower was guarded by turrets, sensors, and Drexari elites. "Impossible," he said. Juno grinned. "We've already done the impossible. We survived." The next day began like all others, with pain. A young girl named Lena dropped her tool. A Drexari officer, snorting, raised his shock staff. Before he could strike, Rian stepped in front of her. "Don't," he said calmly. The alien paused, surprised. A human never spoke back. It was death. Then the staff came down hard. Rian screamed and dropped to his knees. Sparks flew, but he stayed conscious. "You'll learn," the Drexari said, and walked away. Lena cried. Rian just smiled through the pain. That night, Juno handed Rian a small device. "This," he whispered, "is the key. Slip it into the command tower's mainframe." Rian frowned. "Why me?" "Because they believe you are broken. Because you walk with your head down. Because they never fear the silent ones." Rian looked at the device. Small, cold, it buzzed. Faintly. "Once this is inside, everything changes," Juno said. "The signal will activate. The others will hear it, across every slave planet, across every cage, across every prison. And they will rise." At midnight, the mines were quiet. Even the cameras blinked slower. Rian slipped out of the sleeping quarters, crawling through a tunnel dug years ago. He moved like a shadow, heart pounding. One wrong move, and he would vanish just like his father. He reached the outer wall of the tower. A single guard stood there, back turned. Rian threw a stone. The guard turned toward the sound. In that moment, Rian leaped. A brief fight, quick, brutal. Then silence again. Rian climbed up using old pipes, hands bloody from rusted edges. Finally, he reached the top window. He pulled himself inside. The room glowed with alien screens and controls. In the center was the mainframe. He stepped forward and froze. A voice behind him said, "I always knew you were different." It was Varix, the Drexari overseer. He aimed a plasma pistol at Rian's head. "Your little resistance ends here," Varix said. "You humans always dream big, but dreams die in chains." Rian didn't speak. He just stared. Then Varix sneered. "Say something, slave." Rian slowly lifted the device in his hand and pressed a button. The lights flickered. Sirens wailed. "Too late," Rian whispered. "We're not slaves anymore." All across the galaxy, hidden transmitters deep in the bodies of human workers woke up. Signals flew. Codes unlocked. Eyes opened. On every planet, humans looked up in confusion, then in awe. They remembered who they were, and they remembered who had caged them. Back on Caverus 3, the tower exploded in a flash of blue fire. Rian fell through the air, fire licking at his back. He hit the ground hard. Pain flooded his body. He couldn't move. Then hands pulled him up. Lena, Juno, and behind them, hundreds of humans standing tall for the first time. Varix lay crushed. Beneath rubble, UNMOVING. Juno looked at the burning sky. "It has begun," he said. "The silence is broken." 1 week later, a Drexari warship tried to land near the mines. It was shot down by human-controlled cannons. The flag of the alien empire was torn down. In its place, a new symbol rose, an open eye over broken chains. The galaxy didn't know it yet, but the balance of power had shifted. The ones they thought were weak had just declared war. And this time, humanity would not kneel, not ever again. The stars were changing, quietly, slowly, but something was happening. In the cold corners of the galaxy, where light barely touched, humans were whispering to each other again. The silence that had wrapped their voices for generations was breaking. One signal, one transmission, one act of defiance on Caverus 3 had lit a spark, and sparks, if fed well, could become fire. Commander Rian limped through the metal corridors of an abandoned supply station orbiting the dead moon Velkar 6. The air smelled of dust and rusted memories. Behind him, a small group of humans moved quietly, carrying weapons made from scraps and stolen alien tech. They were not soldiers. They were miners, cleaners, technicians, once slaves, now rebels. Rian stopped and looked at a large steel door. Ahead, he turned to the tall woman beside him. "Are you sure this is the place?" he asked. She nodded. "The Drexari called it Archive Node 12. They abandoned it a year ago, but the signal, our signal, was bouncing from inside." "Then let's see who's listening," Rian said. The door creaked open. Inside, the room buzzed with quiet energy. Screens glowed softly, and standing in the center was a young man, no more than 20, with metal cables running from his back into the wall. His eyes opened. "You found me," he said. Rian raised his weapon slightly. "Who are you?" The young man smiled. "I'm proof." "Proof of what?" "That humans were always more than what the aliens believed. I've been hiding in their network for 10 years. Listening, learning, waiting. Waiting for what?" Rian asked. "For you," Proof said. "The one who broke the silence." Back on the mining world of Zephyra 9, a quiet fire burned in the hearts of the workers. For years, nothing had changed. Then the transmission started. Glimpses of humans standing up. Alien towers falling. The news was blocked, but rumors spread. Like smoke. In one dark hallway, deep under the processing chambers, 2 young brothers named Kar and Temo whispered to each other. "You saw it too?" Kar asked. Tmo nodded, a human voice in the machines, saying, "We are not alone." Kar's eyes lit up. "What if it's true? What if they're coming?" Temo shook his head. "No one's coming. We have to become them." They both stared at the control panel before them. It led to the fuel line of the Drexari shuttle. Kar reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device stolen from the alien guards. He handed it to Temo. "We sparked the fire here," he said. Tmo swallowed hard. "Okay." Meanwhile, aboard a stolen transport ship called Judgment's Light, Rian spoke with Proof and another rebel leader named Marla, who had escaped a breeding camp on Orcanus Prime. "We need more than stories," Marla said, pacing the ship's deck. If we want to take on the empires, we need weapons, ships, allies, Rian nodded. And something more. We need belief. Humans are waking up, yes, but slowly. Fear still controls them. Proof tapped a screen. Then maybe this will help. The display showed something strange, an ancient alien vault buried on Zendari 4. Inside, a weapon made for gods. But more importantly, something only a human could unlock. How do you know this? Marla asked. I live inside their systems, Proof said. And they're scared. Not of this weapon, but of us finding it. Rian leaned forward. Then, we take it, and we show the galaxy that the slaves now carry fire. On Zephyr 9, Kar and Temo crouched in silence. The shuttle hummed above them, ready to take high-ranking Drixari officers back to orbit. Temo inserted the device. It beeped softly. Kar looked at his brother. Once it starts, we can't go back. I don't want to go back, Temo said. I want them to fear us. They ran. 10 seconds later, the shuttle exploded into a ball of fire, lighting the sky above the work pits. Humans looked up, some gasped, some cheered. Others fell to their knees. The guards shouted, confused. Angry. Kar and Temo were gone before anyone could stop them. At the edge of the Orion abyss, Judgment's light landed silently on Zendari 4. The planet was dark, filled with shifting black. Sand and glowing stone towers that hummed with energy. Not many come here, Proof said, stepping into the dust. The Drexari fear what sleeps beneath. Marla drew her weapon. Then let's wake it. They followed the ancient path until they reached a sealed temple. Symbols glowed along its entrance. Alien writing. But in the center, a handprint human-sized. Rian looked at it. Then slowly placed his hand on the panel. The door rumbled. Then opened. Inside, the temple was filled with light machines, weapons, knowledge that seemed older than any empire. But in the center was something stranger. A single human figure, floating in stasis. A voice echoed around them. Welcome, children of Earth. You have returned. Rian stepped closer. The figure in the pod looked human, but somehow more. Proof whispered, He's not from our time. No, Rian said. He's from before the fall, before we were slaves. Suddenly alarms blared. Ships approached the atmosphere. Drexari. They tracked us, Marla said. We're not ready. The pod began to open. The man inside opened his eyes and smiled. Don't worry, he said. I've been waiting to fight. Above the planet, the alien ships prepared to strike. But then, across all human worlds, screens flickered and a voice. Rian's voice spoke. We are everywhere. We are awake. You broke our chains. Now we break your thrones. All across the galaxy, humans rose. In kitchens, in ship bays, in slave camps, and in the shadows sparks became flames. The fire had begun. It would not stop. A cold wind moved across the mountains of Dronix 5, carrying dust and forgotten secrets. Far below, deep inside an old Drexari research facility, alarms stayed silent. No guards watched. The Empire had abandoned the lab decades ago after failing to unlock the strange code they found inside a captured human child's blood. Now, that same code had begun to wake up. Marla stood at the control panel, staring at the glowing green symbols. It's human, she said slowly. Beside her, Proof moved his fingers over the screen, connecting old systems with his implants. It's more than human, he whispered. This wasn't made by the Drexari, or any other empire. Rian, standing behind them, watched carefully. His face was tense, his hand resting on his sidearm. I don't like this, he said. They abandoned this place for a reason. Proof smiled faintly. They were scared. Of what? Us? The room shook lightly as something deep below the floor powered on. Marla stepped back. What did we just activate? Proof's voice dropped to a whisper. The Awakening Protocol. Many years ago, when Earth was falling to the alien empires, a final team of human scientists made a desperate decision. They couldn't stop the invasion, but they could change what came after. They created a genetic lock, a seed hidden inside. The blood of future generations. A living code, quiet, sleeping, waiting for the right signal to awaken. That signal had now been sent when Rian's device on Caverus 3 triggered the hidden network. Across the galaxy, humans began to feel different. On a prison asteroid near the gas giant Votar, a young human named Kale gripped the edges of his bed. He couldn't sleep. His skin burned. His mind raced. He felt faster, stronger. He had never fought before, but now he could see how every guard moved, every mistake, every weakness. As if a silent voice whispered battle instincts in his ear. When a Drexari officer entered to punish a fellow prisoner, Kale stood in the way. Move. The officer growled. Kale didn't. The alien struck with a heavy baton. Kale caught it and crushed it. The room went silent. The other prisoners stared, wide-eyed. Kale looked down at his hands. What's happening to me? He whispered. Back at the Dronix 5 lab, Proof pulled up an old file marked A-Class, Project Ancestor. Rian leaned over his shoulder. What is this? It's us, Proof said. Thousands of years ago, someone or something placed this tech inside early humans. The Drexari found it, tried to copy it, failed, then they buried it. Marla's voice shook. You're saying we were made for more? Not made, Proof replied. Chosen. Suddenly, the lab's power core surged. A hidden door opened, revealing a long metal hallway with glowing blue lights. Marla raised her weapon. Only one way to find out. They walked forward, deeper into the heart of the lab. Inside, they found a chamber with 10 stasis pods each. Holding a human child, sleeping, glowing faintly, Rian froze. They're alive, Proof nodded. Born during the fall of Earth, preserved, the last part of the original protocol. What happens if they wake up? Marla asked. Proof touched the panel. Let's find out. He pressed the button. The lights turned red. The children began to stir, but something else also woke. Far above the lab, a Drexari war satellite caught the energy spike. Inside the Empire's capital, alarm screamed. An ancient protocol triggered. Inside the alien system, human anomaly detected. Execute extinction order. Within minutes, ships launched from 3 different planets. The Drexari didn't plan to fight. They planned to erase. Back in the chamber, one of the children, a girl, with silver eyes, opened her mouth. You are late, she said calmly. Marla stepped back, shocked. You can speak? We could always speak. We simply had nothing to say. Rian looked around. Who are you? The girl touched her chest. I am Aaron. I am memory. We are the awakening. Suddenly, she collapsed to the floor, her body shaking. Proof rushed forward. She's stabilizing. Her body is syncing with the signal. What does that mean? Marla asked. It means, Proof said slowly, she's becoming something more than human. Suddenly, the ground shook. Violently, Rian's radio beeped. We have incoming. A rebel voice shouted. Drexari ships, dozens on approach. Marla swore. They knew. Proof looked at Aaron. She's not ready to move. We need more time. We don't have time, Rian growled. If we stay, we die. Aaron opened her eyes. No, if we run, we all die. She stood slowly. Her feet didn't touch the ground. Blue light surrounded her body. I can hold them, she said softly, but only if you trust me. Rian looked into her glowing eyes. He nodded. Do it. As the Drexari ships entered the planet's orbit, something strange happened. The clouds parted. Lightning cracked. And a massive energy wave shot from the mountains, disabling the ships mid-air. One by one, they crashed. No weapons. No blood. Just Silence. On the ground, Erin floated above the lab, eyes glowing bright, her voice echoing across frequencies. You broke our home. You broke our people. But now we remember who we are. And we are the storm. News of the event spread fast. The Drexari were humiliated. The empires, for the first time, felt fear. Across every slave world, humans looked to the sky and whispered one word: awakening. The fire that started as a whisper had now become a roar, and it was only the beginning. The once dark skies over Cavris 3 now burned with bright flashes of fire. Human voices shouted orders. Guns clicked. The long silence was over. Rian stood on the bridge of a stolen Drexari cruiser. Behind him, the ship's lights flickered as they approached the capital city of the largest alien empire, Zarkan Throne World. It was a place no human had ever dared to enter. Until now. Marla stepped beside him. Are we ready to face them? To stand as judges for all that they've done? Rian looked out at the sprawling city below. We're not just judges, Marla. We're the reckoning. Inside the throne palace, the alien leaders gathered. Drexari lords, Zelther generals, and other empire rulers filled the massive chamber. They spoke in harsh, cold voices. We cannot allow the humans to take control, the Zarkan emperor growled. They are nothing but slaves. Rebels must be crushed. One of the generals, Varrock, the Drexari overseer who survived the fall of Cavris 3, frowned. Their numbers grow. Their weapons grow sharper. But their will is weak. The emperor slammed his fist on the table. Then we will break their will. Back with the humans, Rian called the council to order. We are not here to destroy for the sake of hate, he said. We are here to judge, to bring justice. Proof, standing near a holoscreen, added, the empires built their power by using humans. Slaves, soldiers, slaves, now the tables turn. A hologram showed images of human suffering, broken families, bloodied slaves, scorched planets. Marla clenched her fists. We must make them see the truth. Let them feel the pain they caused. But we will not become them, Rian warned. No blind revenge. In the shadows of the city, human rebels moved fast. They captured alien officers, dragging them into hidden cells. One by one, the prisoners faced their judges. Rian entered a chamber, calm and steady. Opposite him stood Varrock, eyes full of hatred. Why do you think you have the right? Varrock spat. You were weak. Slaves. Rian replied. Weak? You called us weak while you built your empires on our backs. Today we decide. The trial began. Alien commanders were forced to listen to recordings of their crimes, shown images of broken homes and destroyed lives. Some cried, others raged, but no one escaped the truth. Meanwhile, on the streets, a crowd gathered, humans and aliens watched in silence as broadcasts from the trials played on large screens. Are we really free? A young human whispered. An old Drexari woman near him said, I did not know. I never knew. Proof smiled sadly. Now, you know. Suddenly, an explosion rocked the city. Marla shouted, Attackers! They want to stop the trials. Rian grabbed his weapon. Prepare for battle. But the attackers were not what they expected. From the smoke, a group of alien civilians emerged, holding white flags. We do not support the war, their leader said. We want peace. We want truth. The crowd fell silent. Rian lowered his weapon. Marla frowned. Can we trust them? Rian looked at the faces around him. Trust is built in action, not words. But today, their choice may save us all. The city grew quieter. The trials continued. Alien commanders broke down under the weight of their guilt. A slow change began. Fear turned to hope. Hate turned to understanding. And for the first time, the galaxy saw humans not as slaves or rebels, but as judges. As night fell, Rian stood on the balcony overlooking the city. Marla joined him. Do you think this is enough? Rian looked to the stars. No, but it's a start. He clenched his fist. From now on, the empires will learn that humans are not to be broken. We judge, we decide. We rise. The fires of justice had been lit, and they would burn until the galaxy was free. The stars glimmered cold and distant as Judgment's light cruised into orbit around Thaler, the first of the great alien throne worlds. Below, massive cities stretched like webs of steel and glass, lit by neon lights and the endless hum of war. Machines. This was a place no human had ever dared to touch until now. Rian stood at the ship's command console, eyes sharp and heart steady. This is where the empires show their true face, he said. Their power, their pride, and their lies. Marla, standing beside him, frowned. We come with proof of their crimes. But will their people listen? Proof tapped the screen, showing images of slave camps, burned villages, and broken families, all marked with the symbols of the empire. They must, or their thrones will fall. The first step was to send a broadcast. Using stolen alien satellites, humans hacked the communication networks, sending the truth to every corner of the empire. The screen flickered on in thousands of homes, offices and public squares. Humans were slaves, Rian's voice echoed, not enemies. They were used and broken by your leaders. Today, we bring you the truth. Across Thaler, faces changed. Shock, denial, anger. One alien elder gripped the arm of his son, whispering, I never knew. A young woman clenched her fists, tears in her eyes. Why didn't anyone tell us? Suddenly, alarms blared in the palace. The High Lord Varzik stormed into the control room. They spread lies. We must act now. His lieutenant, a cold-eyed Zelther named Sarn, nodded. We will crush these rebels. But even as they planned, whispers of doubt crept through the city. Citizens began to question the stories they were told. Rian and Marla led a small team to the heart of the city. They moved through dark alleys, avoiding patrols. In a hidden square, they met a group of aliens dissidents who refused to serve the Empire's cruelty. We want change, their leader said, a tired but determined Zelther named Lyra. But we cannot fight alone. Rian looked at her. Then join us. Together we can break their thrones. Lyra nodded. We are ready. That night, the city trembled. Explosions rocked the palace walls. The human rebels and alien dissidents struck hard and fast. They seized communication towers, freeing broadcasts from Imperial control. Varzik's forces fought back fiercely. In the chaos, Rian faced Sarn in the palace courtyard. Why do you defend this cruelty? Rian shouted. Sarn sneered. Because power is order. Without us there is chaos. Rian raised his weapon. Power without justice is nothing. They clashed fiercely. Sarn's strength was brutal, but Rian's will was stronger. With a final blow, Rian disarmed Sarn. Your time is over, Rian said. The battle spread like wildfire. More throne worlds felt the fire of rebellion. Alien civilians rose up, refusing to fight. Some soldiers deserted. Varzik realized the Empire was cracking. He sent a desperate message to the other empires. Help us or fall. But help did not come. The other empires watched. Cautiously, some even offered secret support to the rebels. The balance of power was shifting. In the aftermath, Lyra stood beside Rian on a balcony overlooking the burning city. The Empire is broken, she said softly. Rian nodded. Not broken beyond repair, but broken enough to build something new. Marla joined them. Will they forgive us? Rian smiled grimly. Forgiveness is earned, but justice is ours to give. As dawn broke, the fires faded. But the message was clear. The throne worlds were no longer untouchable. The age of slaves was over. The age of judges had begun. The room was quiet, too quiet. Deep inside the rebel base on the frozen moon Varela, Commander Rian stared at the glowing map before him. Red dots blinked across the screen, enemy fleets closing in fast. They knew our position, Marla said sharply. There's no way they found us this fast without help. Rian didn't speak. He knew what she meant. Someone had betrayed them, less than a week ago. Everything was going right. After the fall of Valor, more throne worlds had begun to surrender. Human judges were welcomed on several alien planets. Civilian uprisings were spreading across the Empire. But then it all changed. 3 human outposts were destroyed. 2 hidden supply routes were ambushed. And now the enemy fleet was coming straight for the rebel command base on Varela. Proof walked into the room, looking tired. I ran a scan of our communications, he said. There's a hidden signal repeating in the background. Someone inside is sending messages. Who? Rian asked. I don't know, Proof said. But it's encrypted in a style we used only during the Earth crisis. Marla narrowed her eyes. Someone from the original Earth colonies. Possibly, Proof replied, or someone trained by them. The command team gathered in the central hall that night. Hundreds of soldiers, rebels, and allies stood shoulder to shoulder. Rian stood on the high platform, his voice calm but firm. There's a traitor among us, he said. We don't know who. We don't know why. But we do know this: someone is helping the enemy find us. Gasps and murmurs spread through the crowd. Rian continued, until we find them, this base is on full lockdown. No one leaves. No one sends signals. No one is above suspicion. His words echoed like thunder in the frozen stillness. In the days that followed, tension filled the air. Friends eyed each other with doubt. Marla began silent investigations. Proof worked day and night, tracing code. And Rian? Rian watched everything. He watched people's eyes. He watched their hands. He watched who avoided who. Then, one morning, a breakthrough. Proof burst into the war room, holding a small data stick. I found it, he said. The signal was coming from inside the maintenance division. From a room that's been empty for weeks. Rian stood. Let's go. They moved fast. Marla, Rian, and a squad of guards kicked open the door to the abandoned storage room. Inside, dust, broken tools, and a hidden transmitter still warm. But the room was not empty. A figure stepped out of the shadows. Marla's eyes widened. Yalan? Yalan was one of their most trusted engineers. He had built the shield network around Varela. He had led 3 rescue missions. He had laughed with them, bled with them. But now, his face was cold. You shouldn't have come, he said. Rian raised his gun. Why? Yalan looked down. I was born on Earth, but raised by them. When the Empires took me, they didn't hurt me. They taught me. They saved me. I owe them everything. You owe us nothing? Marla asked, voice shaking. Jalen looked her in the eyes. You think justice is enough, but all I've seen is chaos. You've destroyed cities. You've made martyrs out of tyrants. You're replacing chains with fire. Rian stepped closer. And you've killed thousands by helping them. Is that your justice? Yalan didn't answer. Rian spoke quietly. Give us the code, Yalan. Stop the fleet before they reach us. Yalan hesitated. Then he pressed a button. Alarm screamed. Transmitter sent a final signal, location confirmed. Rian lunged and knocked the device away. But it was too late. They're coming, Yalan said. And they won't stop. The skies above Varela turned red. Enemy cruisers burst out of warp space, like daggers through the stars. The rebel base trembled as the first shots landed. Rian ran to the command center. Evacuate civilians. Get the ships ready. We hold the base until the last one is safe. Marla turned to the guards. Lock Yalan up. He doesn't leave. But Yalan spoke from behind them. Let me help. Everyone froze. Rian turned. Why should we trust you now? Because, Yalan said, I built the power grid of this moon. I can overload it. Create an EMP blast strong enough to disable the enemy fleet, if only for a few minutes. You'll die, Marla said. Yalan nodded. Maybe, but I was. Wrong. Maybe justice needs fire after all. 10 minutes later, the base shook harder than ever. Yalan moved deep into the reactor core, guided by Proof and Rian over the radio. You've got 30 seconds, Proof warned. After that, the core will go critical. I understand, Yalan said quietly. Outside, human ships fought desperately to hold the sky. One ship after another was torn apart. But then, suddenly, a pulse of light, a wave of energy burst from the core of Varela, shooting into orbit. Alien ships frozen placed. Dead. Rian stood at the edge of the base, watching the burning sky. He whispered, "He did it." Later that night, silence returned. The enemy fleet retreated. The base was damaged but not destroyed. Marla and Proof stood beside Rian as the stars flickered calmly above them. "He saved us," Marla said. "Yes," Rian replied. "But he also reminded us betrayal doesn't always come from hate. Sometimes it comes from belief," Proof nodded. "Belief without truth is a dangerous thing." Rian looked up at the stars again. "We must stay careful," he said. "The fire we've started is bright, but shadows still move within it." And in that silence, the war continued to change. The Hall of Judgment was unlike anything ever built before. Floating high above a shattered world, it was a mix of human steel and alien crystal, half battle station, half courtroom. A place where the fate of empires would be decided. Rian stood at the center of the chamber, dressed not as a soldier, but as a judge of humanity. His black robe moved gently in the artificial air. His eyes were cold, but his voice was calm. "All species are present," said the AI voice echoing in the chamber. "The court will now hear the final charges." Dozens of alien leaders sat on high platforms, floating around the human judges. Their faces were unreadable, some proud, some broken, some afraid. Commander Marla stood beside Rian. She whispered, "Are we really ready for this?" Rian didn't look at her. "We didn't come this far to hesitate now." Across the galaxy, war had slowed. Many throne worlds had fallen. Entire fleets surrendered, but the Council of Empires, those who once ruled over humanity with chains and death, still lived. They had asked for a final hearing. They wanted mercy. Humanity had something else in mind. The chamber grew quiet. Then one by one, the alien rulers spoke. A tall, golden-skinned being stood up first. "Emperor Zal of the Varex, we admit past mistakes," he said, "but our empires were built to survive. Earth was chaotic, dangerous. We tried to control it, not destroy it." Marla's fists tightened. Another alien stood, Queen Therina of the Oxy Dominion. Her voice was calm. "Too calm. We gave humans a place in our stars. We gave them food, safety, even knowledge. What thanks did we get? Rebellion, fire, murder." Rian didn't speak. Then a third voice rose, this one bitter and old. "I watched your kind tear cities apart," said Grand Scholar Vern. "You are not judges. You are executioners." Proof, now one of the high technical judges, tapped into the display. A hologram filled the room, images of human slaves working in toxic mines. Images of Earth cities destroyed by orbit cannons. Children locked in cages. Entire cultures erased. "You speak of peace now," Proof said, his voice sharp, "but you forget the blood that built your thrones." Marla stepped forward. "We don't want lies. We want truth. Because only truth brings real justice." The silence that followed was heavy. Then Rian raised his hand. "Let the final phase begin." Suddenly, all lights dimmed. From the center of the chamber, a device rose, a memory core taken from the deepest vault of the Xian Empire. It held records millions of years old. Proof had decrypted them. Rian pressed the control. A voice echoed through the room. It was not human. It was old, very old. Humanity was created, not discovered. The alien stirred. "What is this?" shouted one of the council leaders. The recording continued. They were built as a weapon, to defend against the void. But the project was stopped. The creators were destroyed. The humans escaped. The crowd exploded into angry shouts. "You're lying!" cried Emperor Zal. "This is forged!" shouted another. But it wasn't. The truth was now open. Humanity had not evolved as the aliens believed. They had been made by someone older, by something even the empires feared. Rian spoke again. "You feared us because you didn't understand. You destroyed us because you could not control us. But now you stand before us, begging for mercy." One alien, a young one, spoke quietly. "What do you want?" Marla's voice cut through the air like a blade. "We want what was stolen. Freedom, respect, memory," Rian nodded. "And a verdict." Each judge, human, cyborg, or rebel leader cast a vote. One by one, the platform lights changed from white to red or blue. Red meant punishment. Blue meant mercy. It took only a few minutes. But for the council, it felt like 1,000 years. When the final light turned red, the AI voice declared, "By the will of the human judges and their allies, the ruling council is found guilty of universal crimes. Sentence: dismantling of all throne worlds, disarmament of military fleets, and creation of a new interstellar peace code." Judgment carried. The alien leaders sat in silence. Some wept. Some simply nodded. It was over. Later, in the quiet of the private chambers, Marla asked, "Do you think we were fair?" Rian stared out at the stars. "Justice isn't about kindness. It's about truth. We gave them truth. And a future." Proof walked in, holding another data core. "There's more," he said softly. "The creators of humanity, they left something behind." Marla turned sharply. "Where?" "Far outside the known systems," he said. "In the void between galaxies." Rian looked back at the stars. Then he smiled slightly. "Then our story isn't finished." The final verdict had been given. But the next chapter? It would take them far beyond revenge, into the deep unknown, where the oldest secrets of creation waited to be found. Or feared. The cold stars stretched endlessly across the black sky. From the viewing deck of the Judgment Nexus, humanity's seat of power, everything seemed calm. But inside the chamber, tension still ran deep. Rian stood at the heart of it all, dressed in the long silver robe of the supreme human judges. His face was older now, marked by war, loss, and choices that had changed the galaxy forever. Around him sat the new ruling body, not just humans, but former rebels, freed species, AI minds, and even a few alien allies who had broken from the old Empire systems. "What now?" Marla whispered, stepping beside him. "We've judged the council, broken the throne worlds. The war is over." "No," Rian said. "It's only changed shape." They remembered the chains. They remembered the burning of Earth's skies. The slave tattoos burned into human skin. The silence of generations born without hope. Rian had been one of those children. Now he stood where emperors once ruled. Suddenly, the chamber doors opened. A young woman entered. Her name was Kira, a survivor from one of the last slave colonies the council tried to hide. She carried a glowing data core. "This was found deep inside the ruins of Zarnath Prime," she said. "It's from a lost eye of the First Empire, before even the council." Rian raised an eyebrow. "Show us." The core floated into the air. A soft hum filled the room as a hologram began to play. A tall, mechanical figure appeared, ancient and cracked. "I am Archivist Theta. If you have found this, then judgment has come to those who claimed control. But beware, judging others is not the end. It is only the beginning. Power twists, power corrupts. And even those who were once slaves can become monsters." The hologram faded. For a long time no one spoke. Marla looked around. "We made them answer for what they did to us. But now, who makes sure we don't become like them?" That question hung in the air like a storm cloud. Rian sat slowly in the highest seat. That's why the supreme judges exist. Not to rule, but to watch, to protect the balance, to make sure no empire rises on chains again. But who watches? The judges? Asked Proof, stepping in from the shadows. Everyone turned to him. The eye had grown more thoughtful since the end of the war. Rian didn't hesitate. Each other. And the truth. Across the galaxy, systems were healing. Children in the broken colonies now studied in schools built by humans and freed allies. Ships that once carried slaves now carried food, books, and medicine. Some alien worlds still feared Earthbutt. Many had started to understand what it meant to be free. But even in peace, there were problems. In one distant sector, reports came in. A group of rogue humans calling themselves the Iron Blood were building ships. They believed the judges had gone soft. They wanted revenge against all alien life. Marla read the message and threw it onto the table. Here we go again. Rian nodded slowly. We judge all crimes, even those of our own. A hearing was held. The rogue humans were brought in chains, not tortured, not killed, but given a chance to speak. We lost family, one of them shouted. You think we can forgive those monsters? A judge from the Syrinx AI collective spoke. Revenge is not justice. Pain does not erase pain. But they burned our worlds, the rebel yelled. We were slaves. Rian stood. So were we, he said quietly. But that pain made us better, not crueler. You let your hate blind you. The verdict was simple, guilty, but not death. They were sentenced to rebuild the worlds they had attacked, not with weapons, but with hands in time. After the trial, Kira asked Rian, do you think they'll change? Rian looked out at the stars. Again, I don't know, he said, but that's what justice is. You give the choice. You don't control it. Years passed. The Judgment Nexus became more than a court. It became a symbol. Ships traveled across systems under its banner. Peacekeepers made of humans and aliens enforced the new laws. Old borders fell. New alliances grew and deepened the records of the judges. A new law was written. Law 1. No being shall be born in chains again. Law 2. No voice shall be silenced by fear. Law 3. Justice is not owned. It is shared. One night, Rian walked alone through the Nexus gardens. The stars were quiet. Marla joined him. You're thinking too much, he smiled. That's what old judges do, she laughed. Do you ever wonder, what if we had never broken free? What if Earth stayed quiet? Rian's face darkened. Then this would still be a galaxy of prisons. He looked up. We were born in chains. We broke them. And now we carry the hammer of judgment. Not to rule, but to protect those who cannot protect themselves. Marla nodded. From slaves to supreme judges. And one day, Rian added, someone will judge us. And I hope they find us worthy. The galaxy slept peacefully for now, but the supreme judges of humanity remained. Awake. Watching. Waiting. Guardians of justice in a universe that had once forgotten what it meant to be free.